Welcome to Heartbreak Chronicles. William, I'm not happy and I want a divorce. Charlotte stood in the bedroom doorway with a hint of unease in her voice. Though somewhat shocked, William was not entirely unprepared. They have been married for nearly 20 years, but lately Charlotte has been in frequent contact with her friend Sophia, a so-called marriage expert. The expert's professional credentials are based solely on her own experience of 3 divorces. Charlotte, are you listening to me? I said I want a divorce. Yes, dear, I hear you. William replied calmly, but it's such a big decision that I didn't want to respond hastily. I've always felt like a devoted husband and a good father. You've never mentioned any problems in our intimate life, so I don't know what prompted this decision. But after hearing your words, my response is that I can't stand the thought of letting you lose your chance at happiness because you're with me. As much as it breaks my heart, I will support your decision. Just tell me, is this the result of something that happened recently, or has it been building up for a long time? Charlotte replied, it's gradually slowly building up. I need some space, some time to explore other possibilities and meet new people. It is my understanding that the court requires a 90-day legal separation period after the signing of the documents. Eventually, I may change my mind and want to stay married. Maybe we don't really have to get divorced. William thought for a moment and said, that sounds similar to divorces I've heard about from other people. During the 90-day separation, we can both date other people and it won't be seen as a betrayal. But in the end, we must both agree to terminate the divorce proceedings. However, either party may continue divorce proceedings without the consent of the other. William notices that Charlotte doesn't seem to fully understand that he will have the same freedoms that she does. I thought that if I filed first, the decision to continue or terminate the marriage would be mine. Charlotte hesitated. William countered, I don't think that's fair, but just in case, I'll submit an application as well so we're on the same page. Isn't that fair? Ah, Charlotte stammered. You mean you want a divorce? It seems I've given you the wrong impression that I'm a competent husband, father, and lover. No, I don't want a divorce, but I'm not going to stand in the way of you pursuing your future either. Honey, I never said you weren't good enough. You have been a wonderful husband, father, and lover. I just wanted to experience something new and different and meet some new people. It might make me feel better. A legal separation would give me that freedom. Charlotte, the fact that you need more than I can give already defines my inadequacy. William paused for a moment, then continued. Have you hired a lawyer to prepare the papers? She ignored his comment about inadequacy. Not yet. I'm going to enlist the help of Oliver Lewis. He handled Sophia's divorce. In doing so, Charlotte inadvertently confirms that this idea of seeking more came from Sophia. Well, I might ask my cousin Victoria to handle my side of things. Victoria? She's a demon. Charlotte exclaimed. I know you don't like Victoria, but she's actually a good person. Her reputation for toughness comes from her work, and she really fights for the rights of her clients, both men and women. Funny enough, after the last family barbecue, probably because of a few drinks, Victoria said that if I ever needed a divorce attorney, she'd help me for free. Wow. William continued, we have a lot to discuss. I suggest we spend the next 2 weeks preparing for the divorce so we can begin our separation early next month. May I? Maybe. I don't see why we need to do anything to prepare for the end of our separation. William explains, I think the purpose of the separation is to experience life after the divorce so we can decide if we really want a divorce. This means that the period of separation should mimic post-divorce living conditions as closely as possible. Otherwise, we won't find out about the various issues until after we're actually divorced, and then it could get really tricky. Does that make sense? Maybe. I don't really think about it that much. Charlotte's resolve begins to waver. Come on, let's go to the kitchen and get a notebook and start planning what we need to do. I'll make coffee. With that, William got up and headed for the kitchen, leaving Charlotte in deep thought. When Charlotte arrived in the kitchen, coffee was already brewing and William was writing something in his notebook. Okay, William. William wrote, with Charlotte still pacing restlessly back and forth in the kitchen. There are so many things we need to think about. It's hard to know where to start. I think we should talk about the kids first. What do you mean? Charlotte became nervous. Both daughters are sensitive and may not take bad news well. We have to tell them what happened, and we both have to say the same thing to make sure they don't think the divorce is their fault. Charlotte became more anxious. I don't see why I have to tell them so much. Couldn't we wait 90 days and maybe not tell them anything then? Honey, how are you going to explain it when they ask, why doesn't Daddy live here anymore? But why don't you keep living here? We're still their parents. I was thinking that you could continue to live here and we could still go out together occasionally so we wouldn't disrupt the kids. I don't think that's going to work, Charlotte. First of all, it means we need to coordinate appointment times. If one of us wants to go on a date one night and the other says it's not a good time, it could lead to one of us thinking the other is being deliberately obstructive. More importantly, how are you going to experience life after divorce if everything stays the same? Also, the kids may hear from others that we're dating other people, and we need to tell not only our daughters, but all of our relatives and friends, or they may think we're betraying each other. Just as Charlotte is about to retort, she notices something written in the notebook in front of William. Under the heading, Potential Dates, there are two columns, one for women who have expressed interest and the other for women who wish to explore interest. The lists weren't long, but one name in the first column shocked her. It was her own sister, Melissa. Charlotte immediately pulled out her cell phone and dialed Melissa's number. Hey, Melissa. Her tone was hostile. How dare you try to steal my husband? Wait, slow down. What are you talking about? William made a list of women he wants to date, and your name is on it. I don't know anything about a list, but I did tell him after I'd had too much to drink that if he ever came to his senses and left your ungrateful sister, I'd be ready to take him on. But wait, what happened? Why would he show you a list of dates? Is there a problem between you two? Did you get caught cheating on him, or did he have an affair? It's not like that. I just told him I needed a little space and wanted to explore a new relationship. I see. Melissa interrupted her. So you already have a goal, right? Who is it? Or is there more than one? No, I haven't talked to anyone. Charlotte paused. William and I are just going to have a 90-day separation period before we decide whether or not to continue the marriage. No big deal. So you're telling me that you're going to be legally separated soon, and if someone tries to sleep with William, there's nothing you can do about it, right? Tell me the exact date and I promise to ask him out 1 second past midnight. I'll make him realize that I'm not like my sister, and I'll always be loyal to him. You better stay away from him or else what? If you're legally separated, there's nothing you can do to me. The point is, you started all this. All these years you've bragged about what a good breadwinner he is, what a good husband and father. On top of that, you're always talking about what an amazing lover he is and how many orgasms he can give you. Now you want to give it all up? How can you be so stupid? Again, tell me the moment he's free. This is the only time in my life I will be happy to help my sister. Bye. After putting the phone down, Charlotte tried to calm down. Looking at that list again didn't help. She sees that Jenny, William's secretary, a beautiful single mom almost 20 years younger than William, is at the top of the list, which means she has expressed interest in dating. She's probably looking for a gold digger who can take care of her and her kids. Charlotte thought indignantly. There were also two married women on the list, one with a D next to her name, which Charlotte guessed might mean divorcing. There are also a couple of other names that are employees of William's. Charlotte recognized some of the names from their community. Although William has a degree in psychology, he did maintenance work at university, which he enjoyed and has now grown into a business with 3 teams. It looks like he's not only fixing the house's plumbing, but he's checking out the mistress' plumbing too. Charlotte thought sourly. 3 were not specifically named, only described: a waitress at Waffle House, a barista at Starbucks, and a cashier at Walmart. I wonder how many women find him as attractive as Melissa does. I really didn't think he would date during the separation. Maybe he's got a target on his back. William walks into the house and sees Charlotte looking through that notebook. He was almost certain what the next topic of conversation would be. Looks like you didn't waste any time before you started looking for my replacement, William. My own sister, how could you? I'm just catching up with you and choosing dates. Like, dating Nathan Turner? How do you know about Nathan? What are you up to? I ran into Sarah, the secretary to the president of your company, at Walmart today, just in time for her lunch break. She's a gossip, but don't believe anything she says." William paused long enough for Charlotte to ask, "What did she say?" "Sarah said that as far as she knows, you're close to Nathan Turner, the new partner at our firm." I must have looked confused because she explained that since he goes to your office several times a day and you have lunch together every day, I figured Nathan was at least one of the people you wanted to date during your separation. "How far along are you?" "Nathan is just a friend. We hardly do anything but talk." "Yeah, I think he might be one of the guys I'd like to date. He's very considerate of me and compliments my appearance even when I'm in bad shape." "Anything in particular? Have you guys ever done anything that I wouldn't want to see?" Charlotte's expression betrayed her as she remembered those scenes in the elevator. "Perhaps it's more important to ask if you've done anything that his wife would object to." "Wife? He's not married." "Who told you he was married? What kind of woman do you think I am?" "It doesn't seem like you care much about the men you want to meet." "Let me open his Facebook page. That's where I get my information." After a moment, William continued, "Is this Nathan Turner?" "Yes." "What does his marital status say?" "It says he's married to Catherine and has 2 sons." Charlotte tried to think fast. Maybe it's old information and he might be divorced. "Look again. The page was updated 3 days ago." "Don't you think he'd update such important information as marital status if it had changed?" "Check out his wife's recent post. The kids and I can't wait to go and reunite with Nathan. Both Johnny and Nathan Jr. are starters on their school's baseball team and may make it to the state tournament. We will be reunited at the end of the school year, possibly later if they do make the state tournament." "I swear he never told me he was married." "I wouldn't do anything to ruin someone's marriage." "You don't seem all that concerned about destroying your own marriage." Silence fell between the two. Charlotte knew she was caught. Nathan is the main reason she wants a separation, but she can't let William know that. "He's just one of several guys I might want to date. I could make a list, just like you." "Oh, I just remembered something important. If we decide to continue our marriage after separation, we should both provide medical reports to make sure there are no sexually transmitted diseases." "You're so disgusting right now." "It's just prudence. Honestly, since it's only 90 days, I hadn't planned on dating. But if I need sex, I can get a hooker. I'm sure you want to feel safe too, and remember it's not just about you. It's about the people you've slept with and the people they've slept with before and so on." William tried not to let Charlotte see that he was enjoying the step-by-step. He changed the subject. "Well, Charlotte, I promised to tell you what I did to prepare for the separation. I've scheduled a number of assignments, most of which will take effect from the beginning of next month. Bank accounts and credit card accounts are the main things to take care of now so that you have easy access to your money. Mortgages, utilities, etc. can be taken care of within the next week. By the way, I have good news on the financial front. Did I mention that my secretary, Jenny, works as the night manager at the Crown Apartments? Those apartments are close to my workplace, so I asked her if she had any availability. Usually it's too expensive there, but she said I could get a 50% discount on my rent if I became a maintenance specialist for the neighborhood. It means more money for you and the kids. You haven't signed the lease yet, have you?" She was tempted to say something about his secretary who was trying to catch a golden boy, but felt that would only make things worse. "No, I haven't signed it yet. Remember, we have 90 days left, and if you play your cards right, you can still come back here." Although I had to explain why I was looking for an apartment, she said they don't usually accept month-to-month leases, but since it was for 90 days, she felt she could get approval. When Jenny found out we were separating, she mentioned wanting to ask me out. Considering the age difference, I was surprised and didn't expect her to be interested in me at all. I told her I appreciated it, but company policy does not allow supervisors to interact with subordinates beyond a professional relationship. Jenny said she would consider looking for secretarial work elsewhere if that was the only problem. That's why I put her on the list. Charlotte almost exploded with anger, but she bit her tongue, knowing that speaking her mind would only make things worse. Without waiting for Charlotte to respond, William continued, "There's one more piece of news that you should really enjoy. I booked a 10-day Hawaiian vacation. I was waiting to tell you because it was a surprise for our 20th wedding anniversary." Charlotte's mood instantly shifted 180 degrees. Hawaii. Oh, William, I've always wanted to go there. It's fantastic. I can't wait to lay on the beach with you and swim in the ocean. Thank you, thank you. However, William's expression did not match his wife's enthusiasm. We're not going to Hawaii together. When you told me you wanted a divorce, I thought we might not make it to our 20th anniversary. I tried to cancel the booking to get a refund, but they said only 20% at this late date. After thinking about it, I realized that going to Hawaii was more your dream. I thought you should go ahead and go, so I had them change the tickets to you and a pending guest. This could be a great start to your new relationship if you can invite your new boyfriend on a full paid-for trip to Hawaii. But William, I want to go to Hawaii with you. Charlotte feels like her world is falling apart. We can put off the separation. In fact, I'd like to cancel all of this right now. After thinking about it for a while, I realized I'm not as unhappy as I thought I was. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Charlotte. I've thought about it a lot, and I don't think I can accept the possibility of knowing that we might someday face divorce again. Even if you cancel the divorce now, you can't take back what you said you wanted, and you can't erase the picture of you and Nathan when you supposedly did nothing. While I can't imagine life without you or only being a part-time father, I'll probably still move forward with the divorce, no matter what you decide. With that said, William went upstairs to the guest room. Charlotte was completely devastated. She knew there was only one person who could help her. She called Sophia. Hey, Sophia, things are all messed up. William has found an apartment. His skinny-as-a-bamboo stick secretary is already throwing herself at him, and my sister wants to date him. The worst part is that he had a Hawaiian vacation planned for our anniversary, but now he's saying he'll let me take my new boyfriend and he's not going himself. What do I do now? You and Nathan can have a wonderful time in the sun and enjoy unforgettable sex. No, I found out that Nathan is married and that his wife and kids are moving here in a couple months. I can't. I don't want to go to Hawaii with him. I want to go with William. Wait. Sophia suddenly realized something. Damn, William is more cunning than I thought. He's lying. There's no such thing as a trip booked a long time ago. It's just a ploy to make you feel guilty and call off the divorce. Don't worry, with a body as sexy as yours, you can find a better boyfriend than Nathan and still keep your husband and family. God, I never thought he could be so cruel. That asshole. I'm going to make him pay for this. Thank you, Sophia. I almost fell for it. When William came downstairs, he had a small duffel bag in his hand. So you're acting and pretending you're moving out already? Don't worry, you're good to go. Actually, I'm just moving some stuff to the apartment so I don't have to move too much at once and to avoid upsetting the girls too much. Jenny said that since the apartment is now empty, I can start moving things before the beginning of the month. You seem to have a different attitude than when we talked before. Let me guess, did you talk to your marriage expert, Sophia? Don't try to rile me up by insulting Sophia. She stands up for me. Charlotte paused, then added, she pointed out your trick with the Hawaii trip. You made up this story to get me to give up my divorce. But it's not working. I still want a divorce. A lot of men want me and will give me everything I need. You're right, at least about wanting your man for that. I have no doubt that once they know you're available, you'll get a lot of offers. I've always considered myself the luckiest man in the world to be married to a beautiful woman like you, a great co-parent, and until recently, a devoted wife and lover. But you're wrong about traveling to Hawaii, and I can prove it. Let me call Olivia Simpson at the travel agency. Olivia, this is William Tyler. My wife is here and I'm on speakerphone. Can you tell her about the trip? Of course, William. I'm sorry you won't be able to go. It looks like you really wanted to surprise your wife and enjoy the vacation together. Is there a problem, Mrs. Tyler? Tell me exactly what this so-called trip consists of. Charlotte growled. It's our 10-day, 2-island package, and it's one of our most popular. This includes hotels, dining, transportation, surf lessons, traditional dance performances, surfing, swimming, and dancing, all in a romantic setting. My husband and I have been there a couple of times, and it really makes married life more exciting. And when did my husband initially book this trip? Charlotte was sure it would reveal his trickery. Let me see the records. According to the information here, He made his first inquiry 3 months ago, finalized his specific trip 2 months ago, and paid in full 2 weeks later. Yesterday he called and asked to cancel and request a refund. I regret having to return 20%. I was surprised when he said for you to take someone else. It shows what a good husband he is. You're such a lucky woman. Any other questions? You need to tell me the name of the other person as soon as possible. I can't actually book a flight until I know that person's name. No more questions. I'll tell you the name as soon as I can. Charlotte tried to imagine how Sophia would interpret the information. After a few seconds, she said, "You thought you had me fooled again, didn't you? You set up this play with Olivia a long time ago to make it all sound like you planned it a long time ago." William let out a long sigh and suggested, "Then ask your parents. They're the ones who have to look after the girls." Charlotte was caught off guard. "No, you don't have to call them. I need time to think." "Sorry, Charlotte. I'm already dialing." Her mother answered the phone and saw it was caller ID. "Charlotte, how are the kids? It's good to hear your voice." "Hi, Mom." Charlotte replied hesitantly. "Hi, Mom, it's William. We're on speakerphone." "Wait, I'll go get your father." Charlotte and William heard her shout in the background, "David, it's William and Charlotte. Come to the phone." "Hi, guys, what's up?" David joined the call. "Charlotte knows, so you don't have to keep it a secret anymore." William spoke up. "Son, we're sorry you can't go. You didn't tell us why. We were disappointed when you called this morning to say you didn't need us to babysit the girls for Hawaii. We had been looking forward to spending 10 days with the girls. We feel bad for Charlotte too, knowing how much she wanted this trip and that she would have preferred to go with you. You decide who you want to take, Charlotte, but that might not be fair to the girl who didn't get picked." "No, Mom, I haven't decided yet." "William, how long ago did you tell them about this?" "I'm not so sure. It was around New Year's, wasn't it, David? Do you remember?" "I'm pretty sure it was 2 or 3 months ago. He said to let us know ahead of time, so we could prepare enough snacks. Those two little guys can really eat, and yet they don't gain any weight." "William," Charlotte's mother interrupted. "What's wrong with Charlotte? Why are you asking when William told us? Is there a problem between you two? Oh my God, did you guys break up?" "Mom, no." Charlotte explains, "Not really. We just felt like we needed some space, some time apart to recharge. And then maybe we'll get back together and the marriage will be better." "Charlotte, I'm not going to lie to your parents." William said, "Mom, Dad, last Sunday night, Charlotte told me she wanted a divorce." There was a distinct huffing sound on the other end of the line. Charlotte tried to salvage the situation. "That wasn't exactly my intention. The first step in the divorce process is a 90-day separation period. I want this time to help me find myself, explore new possibilities, and improve myself so I can be a better wife and mother." "Bullshit." Exasperated, David said, "I know all this liberal nonsense. Charlotte, do you have a lover?" "No, Dad, no, not exactly." William looks like he wants to say something but holds back. David continued, "We raised you to be a man of integrity. I never thought you would do something like this. Don't expect us to go easy on your new man." "William, we're really sorry. Can you at least promise us that we'll see our granddaughters after the divorce?" Charlotte also interjected in tears, "William is making things too complicated. I take back all my words. No more divorce. I'll talk to you guys when things calm down." William looked at a tearful Charlotte and said, "You need to calm down. The girls will be home soon." Then he headed for the door, duffel bag still in hand. "Did you hear what I said? I don't want a divorce. You don't have to go anywhere." "Charlotte, you unilaterally announced you wanted a divorce without consulting me. Now you think it's okay to unilaterally announce that we're not getting divorced because things didn't work out the way you planned? You seem to forget that I have a say in this too. What I've learned about you over the past week makes me unsure that calling off the divorce is a good idea. I'm going to the garage to get a sleeping bag and spend the night at the apartment tonight." "William, please don't go. I'm so sorry. Before I mentioned all that divorce nonsense, you said everything was fine. You said you were happy. Can't you just forget about it all and go back to the way things were?" "I am indeed happy, very happy. But I can't get over the fact that you said you weren't happy, and I can't get over what happened with you and Nathan. Like I said, In my mind, you've cheated on me. Sally said filing the divorce papers was easy because it's standard procedure. She could probably have the papers ready tomorrow. I won't sign it. Charlotte snapped. That's okay. She just needs to make sure you're officially served with the papers. I suppose she could even serve it at your place of work, with plenty of witnesses and maybe Nathan present. Hell, I could even sue him for violating company policy, although that might get you both fired. But that's too much. You need to be able to take care of the girls. Maybe I just need to talk to Nathan's wife, and that'll be enough to get back at him. Why are you so cruel? I love you, and you love me. Isn't there anything I can do to make it right? You said divorce would be agonizing for both of us. Don't you want to avoid that pain? I promise I'll never speak of these divorces again. Please stay, and let's work this out together. Tears streamed down Charlotte's cheeks. William stood there, motionless. Charlotte felt like she was convincing him. I promise I'll be the best wife in the world. I will never look at another man again. I've given you almost 20 years of a beautiful marriage, 2 lovely children, and support for your career, even if that means you come home late and dirty. I'm proud of your success. Everyone makes mistakes. Please give me another chance. Please. Finally, William replied, here's what I'll do. I'll put my duffel bag and sleeping bag in the apartment first. I want you to write something down. Your words and actions have hurt me more than you realize. If your answer is what I expect, I will consider canceling or at least postponing the divorce. I'll be back at 7. You might want to send the kids to your parents or a friend's house so we can talk freely. Okay, well, thank you. What should I write? First, I want an apology for starting this whole mess. I want you to not ask, but beg for my forgiveness. Second, I want you to tell Nathan to never contact you again. If he insists, threaten to tell his wife. Let him know that if he doesn't cooperate, I may take legal action against him and your company. Third, I want you to list every reason you can think of why I should consider continuing this marriage. Finally, I want you to call Sophia and tell her that you will never speak to her again. This is non-negotiable. If I ever hear the words Sophia says I should again, I will leave immediately. Do you understand what I'm asking? If you want us to have a chance to continue our marriage. Yes, dear, I think I understand. I'll do everything and be ready by 7. Very well, see you at 7. Charlotte tackled the last item on the list first. She rehearsed what she was going to say to Sophia. Following your advice was the worst decision I ever made. I almost lost everything that was important to me because of you. Don't ever call me, text me, email me, or even think about me. If you see me in a store or restaurant, walk away, or I may not be able to control my behavior. To Charlotte's surprise, cutting off contact with Sophia made her feel so much pain. Then she called Nathan and relayed William's request. It makes her uncomfortable to hear Nathan plead for one last meeting at the motel and then insult her by saying she might be a bad lover. When she said that her husband might call his wife if he caused any more trouble, he shut up immediately. The tasks on the list that she expected to be the hardest to accomplish were actually the easiest. Listing reasons why William should want to stay married, after getting rid of the desire to be better than William, she is able to think about all the things that make her happy in her life with William. That should impress William. She wanted to. Apologizing and begging for forgiveness wasn't hard for her at all. How stupid, selfish, and arrogant I was. Never again. 7 o'clock on the dot, and William's not back yet. 5 minutes later, he came back without any luggage. Charlotte noticed that his expression hadn't changed since he left earlier in the day. She stayed as polite and humble as she could. That was my reply, and I hope you'll forgive me. William looks at the list for a long time and starts to tear up. Charlotte cried along with him, thinking his display of emotion was a good sign. That's really impressive, Charlotte. Her heart fluttered with hope and she stood up to hug him, but he gestured for her to sit back down. You write very well, but I'm still not sure you really understand how much you hurt me. I'm afraid I still have to move forward with the divorce. Charlotte was completely devastated. Her heart felt like it had been thrown to the ground. She collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. In her grief, she murmured, I ruined my family's life. I am the worst person on earth. I don't deserve to live. How could I be so stupid? William knelt in front of her and whispered, Now you understand how I feel. As Charlotte cries on the floor, he walks toward the door, stops and turns to her and says, "Am I right that we can date anyone during the separation?" His wife struggled to control herself and tried to speak, but she kept crying and couldn't finish her sentences. "Well, if we can date anyone, what are you doing Friday night? Care to have dinner and a movie with me? What do you mean by that?" "Yes, I think we've completely destroyed our old relationship, but we may have a chance to build a new one." Charlotte stood up and rushed to William. "Yes, yes, 1,000 yes. Thank you for listening to the end. That's the end of today's story. For more captivating tales, hit subscribe and never miss an episode.